Due to the graphic nature of this program, viewer discretion is advised.
Welcome to the Marco Dre Show, everybody. It is Monday, September 29th, 2025. Thanks for starting your week off the right way by turning into today's show to hear all the relevant groundbreaking news here in the United States and around the world, the only show where the facts are facts and hard truths strive. Don't forget to hit that like button, follow the show, hit that notification tab, and share it. And I want to say thanks to each and every one of you that do so and continue to do so. I appreciate you so much. Let's get ready now for the best hour that radio has to offer. Uncensored and ready to go. Let's get right to work. There's so much going on out there that we need to get into. And I want to start off talking about this issue that I found on Fox News over the weekend. And it's just shocking how disgusting our college campus is. And I think you'll agree after hearing what I'm about to read to you. And it says here, a gun club called the Georgetown University John Brown Gun Club posted that these flyers around the campus cheering the death of Charlie Kirk. And they had pictures of Charlie with slogans on it, such as "Follow your leader," "Rest in piss, Charlie." And this group, I guess, congratulates themselves as the only political group that that celebrates when Nazis die. This is what it says on the posters that they're posting around campus. You have other phrases coupled on these flyers that are around campus. I've seen some with their staff members on it. And it says things accusing them of, for example, Dean so-and-so is hosting intimate recruitment sessions with Palantir war profiteers. The slogan's also saying, "We protect us," and "Hey, fascist, catch." So that basically relates back to what we heard from the alleged shooter was engraving on the bullet casings that they used, so-called. Again, I don't know if it's just a prop or whatever it is, but this is the same slogan we've seen before. "Hey, fascist, catch." It's a gaming, slogan, if you will. So all these things are kind of coming together. And again, also, on this campus, Georgetown University, you have conservative groups that have been threatened and obviously a hostile climate where students, don't even want to share their opinions and beliefs in class is a difficult thing to hear. Education is an area we're supposed to talk, to discuss things. You have people fearful of suggesting that they feel a certain way about something or want to explain something or want to share something about themselves or whatever it may be that relates to conservative values. They're afraid to do it because they don't want the blowback. It's some place to learn, huh? Now, I told you before, there is no free speech on these college campuses, in the lecture halls, anywhere. And that's why Charlie was so unique that he would challenge these echo chambers, what you would hear. So if you're afraid to speak, up, and all you hear is this nonsense of these left-wing values, their critical race theories, just the perversion and all this other nonsense, the communistic values they espouse to everybody. And, of course, the hatred of the right. This becomes a major problem. And, it cost $136 per year as an undergrad just to have your life threatened if you're a Republican, if you're a part of a Republican organization. It's absolutely disgraceful this exists on American college campuses. So now the university police are on the ground investigating. Of course, no word from the president or chancellor on this. No tweets from Keith Olbermann. How about Rachel Maddow? How about the foolish women on The View? Anyone? No, nothing on it. It's a non-issue for them. It's totally fine with them. Threaten Republicans. Okay. AOC? Anything? Right? She talks about hatred and violence that Charlie Kirk was spreading, all of which has been debunked, by the way. Nothing from them. Nowhere. They're just empty brains, each and every one of them. Oh, by the way, a couple things that are interesting I found out over the weekend, listening to people speak about Charlie's death and, of course, the manner of things which have happened. And we're seeing, of course, that they're going through the circus show, which is this trial now of this Tyler Robinson. But a couple of new developments over the weekend regarding this assassination and the alleged killer. One point of interest that I found out, that the government of Ukraine actually had Charlie on a list of enemies to be assassinated. Did you know this? I never heard this till over the weekend. I was shocked about this. It's called the Myrotrovets list, I believe is how you say it. And again, it says these are people, again referring to the people on the list, whose actions have signs of crimes against the national security of Ukraine, peace, human security, and international law. I mean, Ukraine is one of the most corrupt countries on the planet, so it doesn't shock me they have a hit list. Now, does that mean Ukraine is involved in this? It doesn't mean that. I'm just telling you what is happening. Charlie Kirk was on this list of people, of so-called enemies of the state of Ukraine. For what reason, I have no idea, but I digress. Larry Johnson, who's a former CIA official, has actually brought to light that the alleged killer, this Tyler Robinson, has an uncle that is actually connected in some way to the Azov battalion in Ukraine. Well, it's an odd set of circumstances, I'd have to say. But then Johnson went on to say that he does not believe this is the work of a lone gunman. And again, I'm not saying a single person, a hunter, ex-military, a professional marksman, couldn't take the shot and make it successful from 200 yards away. But this was a planned effort. Again, I'm seeing more people question the narrative, of course, where this bullet came from, or which direction it was coming from, or who could it have been if it wasn't this Robinson guy, if it was even this Robinson guy. But no one buys that this was a 30-06 round that hit Charlie in the neck. This is a round that is supposed to take down large game. And again, I don't think if it hit him there, you would just see the small opening that you had seen. I mean, that thing would have gone. They're trying to say it stopped in his neck now. Are you kidding me? Does anyone buy that? Anyone that's a hunter that's listening to the show, does anyone buy that a 30-06 round would stop because Charlie has strong neck bones? I'm not trying to impugn Charlie. But these are rounds that are supposed to take down bear, elk, moose, rhinoceros. I mean, come on. They're telling us that this round stopped? But it does corroborate what I thought, that he was shot through the neck, because you saw when he got hit, for those of you that watched it, he clenched both of his hands clench at the same time, and he kind of goes back as this hit was taking place. But, you know, the whole thing just reeks to high heaven that something's off here. I don't believe there was a 30-06 round. And what still is troubling is that there is no autopsy performed on Charlie. Yeah, I'm dead serious. There was no autopsy performed on Charlie. So we have no idea what caliber round this was. They're just telling us that the round was stopped in the neck, by the neck bones. And somehow they can make a case now against Robinson with no ballistics on the bullet that can match the gun to him. How can they do that? So is Robinson the gunman or the patsy? I'm confused here. The story they're saying is just not making any sense. And now we have the outdoor stage that Charlie was speaking on was already torn down. It's demolished. It's obfuscation 101, if you ask me. But I thought the Robinson family ties to this Azov battalion was pretty peculiar, so I wanted to share that with you. And again, something's rotting in Denmark with this whole case here. Something's wrong here. They're not sharing information. We saw no tape around the murder scene to collect data. We have no idea what's going on here. We're just told he was shot in the neck with a 30-06, and it's this Robinson guy. Shot him from the roof, jumped off the roof, left the gun, wrote these notes to his roommate/lover or whoever the hell he was, and we're supposed to buy it. But what scientific evidence do you have that he actually shot the gun? That's my question. I told you before, I want justice for Charlie. I want real, actual justice. Not just casting blame around somebody Any picture we have allegedly of Robinson, he's not even holding a gun. So you can't even tie him in through video footage or photo footage. So again, I don't know what case they're going to make. I don't understand this. They're trying to say there's DNA between him and a screwdriver and him and what? The towel? Okay, a towel. A towel around a gun. But can that gun be traced? We have no idea. There's no autopsy. I don't know how this is going to turn out. Yeah. One more comment, though, before I move on. This is important, too, that I've researched and figured out over the weekend. The Anti-Defamation League, run by Jonathan Greenblatt, labeled Charlie Kirk's TPUSA, this turning point, as an extremist, hate, or terrorist organization. I mean, this is crazy to me. And, of course, the Southern Poverty Law Center decided the same thing. Again, both left-wing organizations. Think about this. These on the left, they hear this leftist nonsense on Capitol Hill from these groups. Again, the ADL, the SPLC. They hear it in the college classrooms. You hear this nonsense just time and time again. You see it in the movies. You see it from the actors, the entertainers, and the low IQ rappers and everything of such like that. But now you have a college gun group that says they celebrate when Nazis die. So they're clearly alleging that Charlie Kirk was a Nazi. And again, what has every deranged leftist called Charlie? They called him a sexist, called him a Nazi, homophobe, racist, transphobe, xenophobe, championing having the Second Amendment. So this, means he deserves what he got. None of which is true, by the way. None of which is true by any of these low IQ zeros. Everything they've said, they try to cut different parts of what he has said to make him look like he's an awful person, which he was not. Again, I don't know he's agreed with everything Charlie said, but I probably agree with, 90% of what he was saying for the most part. And again, he has a right to make any opinion he wants or speak about whatever topic he wants. That's not the point here. But the point is when you see losers like, Don Lemon, they run out there, they're questioning random fellow low IQs, and what do you think of Charlie Kirk? It's like, shut the hell up. Didn't you lose your job anyways, you unrelevant piece of trash, smearing his name, a guy you know nothing about? And of course, the people eat it up on the social media. Oh my God, this guy's brilliant. They said, well, wasn't he for the Second Amendment? What does being for the Second Amendment have to do with killing somebody? It's the dumbest argument I've ever seen. Because you believe that you have the right to bear arms, to protect yourself, not go out and kill people, but to protect yourself against the government, obviously the ability to hunt if you wanted to, but you have the right to bear arms in this country. That is a God-given right for us, and Charlie was supportive of that God-given right. And so for people to say, well, he was for the Second Amendment, so, I guess that's okay. No, it's not okay. No, it's not okay. Just like it's not okay when there's a school shooting. And there was the day that he was killed, by the way, in Colorado. 2 people were hit. But how could you say it's okay for Charlie to get hit, but then you're upset that school children are killed? And then you go out and you champion Luigi Mangione for shooting someone in the back? It doesn't make any sense. The left has no idea what the hell they even stand for. They pick and choose whom they care about and what they care about. So it's not right to murder a child in a classroom, which it's not. We can all agree on that, I hope. But it's okay to murder children in utero. That's fine. It's totally fine. Don't worry about it. It's none of your business anyways. But it's okay if a conservative speaker is murdered because he stands for the Second Amendment? I mean, that would be like saying it's okay to shoot somebody who's a member of the NRA because they stand for the National Rifle Association. It's not anything logical. They have no balance in morality. And I just wanted to share all that with each and every one of you because it's troubling what's happening in this case. And of course, it's troubling the response from those on the left, as per always. So That's it on Charlie Kirk for right now. I keep looking at this and keep trying to bring you the most updated information, but I thought that was odd, these ties with the Robinson family and, of course, the Azov battalion. That's a bit odd to me. Again, I'm not saying Ukraine's involved. I'm not saying Robinson's involved. I'm just saying there's a tie there. There's a link. That's been proven. So, and again, the idea that he's on this hit list, it's just odd to me. Very odd stuff happening here. All right. Paul Craig Roberts has a great article today. It says the U.S. military security complex wants more war. Well, they always want more war, don't they? That's how they make their money. Off you. You pay for it, they collect. Brilliant. It's a brilliant Ponzi scheme, I got to tell you. But now the U.S. is now preparing options for striking inside Venezuela. And what has Venezuela done to us? Absolutely nothing. But he's saying that the attacks could happen in a matter of weeks. And, of course, the excuse is the strikes inside Venezuela of these alleged drug traffickers, right? We've killed, 2 boats now full of people in fishing boats, by the way. They couldn't even make it to the United States. And we've just blown them up. We haven't stopped them. We haven't asked them to stop. We've just struck them, killing people inside. We have no idea who's in the boat. We have no idea if there are actual drugs inside the boat. It doesn't make any sense. And again, this is like a hoax, like the Muslim terror threat is what he goes on to talk about. And he says that was Washington's excuse for its wars in Afghanistan, Iraq, Libya, Somalia, the Sudan, Syria, and the attack on Iran's nuclear facilities, all a part of the same idea, the same concept of war, the war on terror. Was a war on opponents to Greater Israel. And I've talked to you about what Greater Israel is. You can look it up. If you don't believe me, it exists. Okay? It exists. There's no questioning what Netanyahu's plans are. He's gone to the UN and he's shown maps of areas on which he's talking about this. He's blatantly said this. But actually, if you want to look at it, he, on September 22nd, 2023, right before the October 7th attack on Israel, he was speaking in the UN, and he holds up this map. He's got all these parts shaded in blue. And he's talking about Greater Israel. And look what's happened since then. They're fighting a 7-front war. We've seen what's happening inside Gaza right now, which we'll talk about momentarily. But they really want this land. They want the land from east of the Nile River and everything just west of the Euphrates. That's the land they want. So goodbye Jordan, goodbye parts of Saudi Arabia, most of Syria, Lebanon, goodbye. Gaza, that'll be a near dream in the near future. Most of Iraq. They want this land. And by the way, part of Egypt, part of the Sudan. They want it. They want it. This is what they want. So if you don't believe me, you can look it up. I implore all of you, again, if you don't believe me, look it up. I'm not making this up. This ideology exists. And by the way, they have it on their uniforms as well. They have patches of the new outline of what Greater Israel will look like. So if you don't believe me, you can look at that. Look it up. Anyways, the war on Venezuelan drug traffickers is now just a continuation of Washington's attempt now to overthrow the Venezuelan government, dating from the Hugo Chavez years, and of course, to return Venezuela to American hands for exploitation. Why would they want that? Because they have a lot of oil, lots of petroleum sits in Venezuela, and it's extremely lucrative to have that. So now, regardless of any drug traffickers, any attacks on Venezuelan territory are acts of war. This intimidation in support of U.S. hegemony just continues on. So, will military attacks on drug traffickers in Mexico be next? That's what Paul Craig Roberts asks. Is Venezuela the only country with drug traffickers? What about Washington's ally, Colombia? What about Ecuador, where the plethora of cocaine that arrives in the United States comes from? What about them? You tell me none of these other countries send drugs to the United States? And by the way, I thought our borders were completely shut. What's going on here? If our borders are completely shut, if we're controlling our Gulf of America, which we should be controlling that through ships, through submarines to patrol the areas, and of course our eastern seaboard. We shouldn't be feeling a fisherman's boat coming to the United States with 10 people on it, or 11, or whatever it was last time, is a threat to us. But if we do have a problem with this, or wanting to confiscate drugs, these people should be stopped. And of course, they should be arrested and they should be charged and they should be searched for any type of drugs they might be bringing. But these boats can't reach the United States. So the whole thing is just, again, obfuscation. It's to make you look like we're fighting a drug war when we're really not. To me, this is about more power. That's what it comes down to. The real reason for the military attack on Venezuela's government, along with bagfuls of money, is to, again, encourage the Venezuelan military to overthrow the Maduro government, which Trump does not like. So, again, it's the same tactic Washington has often used on Honduras and many other countries, by the way. But one other part he talks about here that's I think is important, and we're going to get into it just momentarily. He says if the report from the Russian Foreign Intelligence Service, so we're switching gears here a little bit, the Russian Foreign Intelligence Services is correct that the West is preparing for a false flag attack on itself to be blamed on Russia, and the report is correct that the Western troops are being placed in Moldova, and Odessa to attack the Russian forces and break out a wider war. This is problematic. We saw false airspace violations claimed by Estonia, by Poland, have already set this stage as well. I talked to you about this either last week or the week before. But there were said to be drones flying over Poland. And what's happening, though, is that, of course, Russia says, no, those are not our drones. But what's happening is, since this is drone warfare, what Ukraine does, because they're also proficient in drone warfare, they've taken these drones that have been damaged or taken down, they're fixing them, and they're also now putting them back into circulation. So it looks like Russia is flying over their airspace in Poland, which again would be an invasion, if you will, or accosting Poland. So therefore, now it's Article 5 again. We're talking about if one country is attacked, we're all attacked. And of course, they bring the United States into this. I don't know if this will work. Trump seems to have walked away from this, saying, good luck, NATO, we'll fund you, but we're not going to do any of this. It's on you if you fail. It's not my fault. So again, I don't know how this will turn out. I don't know how they could do this. But if you have Americans killed, it's always a pretext for something much greater. Just think about 9/11. So now, what will happen? Will this get all these countries involved? The only way this works is that they get the United States involved. Because none of these countries, first of all, most of these countries are in recessions right now. And they simply don't have the army that could withstand Russia. So now the NATO troops allegedly in Odessa, I mean, they can claim to be attacked by Russian forces, but I don't think it's going to work. You have to bring the United States into this because none of these other countries can. Poland has no chance. Germany, UK, France, they cannot support this. We've been funding this large in part, which is why now we're selling these arms to NATO, these weapons. All this nonsense. It's just another channel to get everything in there to keep the war going. Keeps the big money interest, the military security complex, as Paul Craig Roberts calls it. But this is the plan to, again, keep these people rich, keep these people wealthy. War sells. War is good. And war is good for ratings, right? But the Western media, of course, will blame Putin, of course. That will be the thing. Right? Because you've already labeled Putin as a thug, a dictator, a killer, all that. So anything, if he comes in and kills troops, say, look, he's killing our troops. He's going to walk through Ukraine. He's into Poland now. And the lie continues. Putin doesn't want any of that. If Putin wanted that, he would have done it already. Again, I said Putin should have ended this war a long time ago. This war of attrition is not good for him, and it's certainly not good for anybody else. The longer this goes on, the more likelihood of a false flag. So get ready for that. If you're in a major city, always watch your back, of course. Always know your surroundings regardless, but something could happen. I don't think it'll happen here, of course. I'm just telling you, just to always watch your six. It's very important. And just bless our troops. I just hope nothing happens abroad where, again, this could happen. Anyway, so Putin now, though, this is in the U.S. Sun. It says, vicious Vlad Putin pounds Kiev with 595 drones and 48 missiles in one of the biggest attacks of war, killing 4 as NATO scrambles jets. Yep. So the war is continuing on because Zelensky refuses to make peace. That's for sure. And he has people now supporting him like Donald Trump saying, hey, you can win your land back and maybe even some more. Which, again, is ridiculous in and of itself. There's no chance for that whatsoever. I think Trump knows that, too. I think it's just a bunch of nonsense. But they've launched certainly one of the largest and biggest air attacks of the war so far. There were swarms of drones and a barrage of missiles were fired across several Ukrainian regions before turning towards the capital of Kiev. So now we have Ukraine's military said, of course, Russia deployed all these drones and these missiles. Missiles are flying over Kiev, which they're using anti-ballistic aircraft firing for several hours. This was an hours-long confrontation. But Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky said that the attack lasted more than 12 hours and caused widespread damage, largely to a cardiological clinic, factories, and residential buildings. He said that the attack had targeted several regions in the north, the center, and the south, including the southern city of Zaporizhia, where authorities said at least 16 people had been injured. So it's not stopping, folks. I told you before, this is going to go on as long as Zelensky wants it to go on for. Putin obviously came to the table because he's ready to make concessions. Now, Trump can bring people together. He can wish for peace, but the two people that can end this conflict are Vladimir Putin and, of course, Zelensky, who is the de facto leader of Ukraine right now. This is what's happening right now. So, not much more I could say about this. It's just continuing on. It's awful this is continuing on. We were hoping in Anchorage that this would obviously stop sometime soon. There would be some type of treaty proposal. Russia would annex the 4 regions that they want. And that would be it. That's the end result. That's what ends this. Is Ukraine walking away and, of course, Putin taking those territories. But, I mean, this doesn't need to happen. Doesn't need to happen. It's just continuing on. What is the inevitable? That Russia will win this conflict. There's no chance, as sure as I'm sitting here, that Ukraine has any way to deter or stop or reclaim any type of land. And to say so is completely ignorant, if you ask me. Yep, this is what it is. This is what it is. And again, you see the response from NATO. Scrambling to get jet planes in there and everything of the such. It's just so ridiculous. So ridiculous. Yeah, look at this. It says President Putin has repeatedly debunked such provocations. Russia has never had and does not have any intentions, but any aggression against my country will be met with a decisive response. So he's talking about what country is he referring to? Looks like he's talking about. I think he's talking about Poland right here. Yep. Oh, no, I'm sorry. This is Lavrov speaking. Excuse me. Lavrov was speaking about this. If there's any retribution towards Russia, so for example, if they attack Moscow, again, trying to give them these missiles, this is what they want to do. So they're ready. Russia's ready. They know what's going on here. They see everyone is, again, aligning against, which is the whole point of NATO. The whole point of NATO was they were supposed to be aligned against the Soviet Union. There's supposed to be obviously a demilitarized zone between Russia and NATO. NATO was never supposed to expand. It was originally 12 states. Now it's 34 states or so. Now Ukraine is trying to join it. It's just ridiculous. It doesn't need to happen. Yep. Zelensky says Putin will not wait to finish his war in Ukraine. He will open up some other directions. So they're already setting the seeds for this false flag attempt. They're already setting the seeds for this false flag they want. So expect more war, folks. I don't have anything good to report on this. The war is continuing on. Oh, by the way, I wanted to talk about the murders that went on over this weekend. Awful murders, by the way. And most of you had seen that there was a gunman in Michigan who killed two at the Mormon Church, Church of Latter-day Saints, during worship, drives his vehicle into the building and opens fire on worshipers during the church. He opens fire on Christians. Let's just be specific about this. He's attacking Christians. During a very large service, killing one person, wounding another, 9 people. Sets fires. And apparently it's this 40-year-old Thomas Jacob Sanford, who was a former Marine. Yeah. Says he exited his vehicle, firing several rounds at individuals within the church. He was engaged on the scene and killed. Allegedly, he was making some type of claims prior to this, a week before this. We don't know if it's specifically just about Mormons or if he has any hostility towards Mormons, but it certainly appears to be that way if he did all this. But look at this. The church burned down. It's awful. Absolutely awful. And of course, we have people losing their lives over this. Now, conversely, we had something happen on Saturday in North Carolina. Again, another Marine, former Marine. And again, there was a mass shooting at a bar, I believe it was, in North Carolina. And this killer, Nigel Edge, 40 of Oak Island, was accused of opening fire on Saturday night from a boat into a crowd gathered at the American Fish Company in Southport. Geez, look at this. Awful. He's now being charged with 3 counts of first-degree murder, as 3 people were killed, 5 counts of attempted first-degree murder, and 5 counts of assault with a deadly weapon. That's what officials are saying he'll be charged with. He has been taken into custody, by the way. Let's see. Is this the police chief? Yes. No, excuse me. Yep, police chief. When I say we understand this suspect identifies as a combat veteran, he self-identifies. Injuries in the line of duty is what he's saying. He suffers from PTSD. So, I think about how this ties into the wars we're in now, right? It just shows us we go through these nonsense wars. We had no reason to be in Iraq or Afghanistan. And the awful things that happened in these wars obviously leave these men who leave with this PTSD, or shell shock is what I call it. That's really what it was called during the World War I. But the idea that they come back and everyone's fine, they're not given the services many of these men need. Having witnessed, having seen various things and things that have been done. I never fought in a war. I never served, so I can't speak on the experience myself. But I can imagine it would be very troubling if you committed some type of atrocities or murder or what have you, or you've seen people getting murdered. It's got to weigh down on you a lot. And again, I'm not sure why these men are targeting these various groups or of large groups of people. But it's clear that this is an attack on, for at least the one in Michigan, was an attack on Christianity. And hopefully we'll come to figure out what the reason was, or the motive was, behind this premeditated attack on this location in North Carolina. It's awful. Absolutely awful. This is what we're dealing with. And by the way, I just wanted to share with you, since we're talking about attacks on churches, I looked this up over the weekend. In just the Catholic Church alone in America, since 2020, There have been 520 different attacks on Catholic churches alone. In 2023, 436 acts of hostility was committed on U.S. churches. That's over a church a day, folks, if you want to space it out. Every single day there's an attack on a Catholic church, on a Christian church here in America. So we need to do our best to protect our houses of worship because according to the ADL, Christian identity is now extremism, hate, and terrorism. Back to the ADL. We see these targeted attacks on, again, houses of worship. We see it in schools, on college campuses. When will Congress protect more than their 401ks and their stock dealings and their investments? And again, put armed security in all of these very important places of worship and our schools, because they're hot spots for violence right now. I ask myself this every day. When is something going to change? Now, I know we can't stop all violence. I understand that. But at least we could do something in our public schools and, of course, our places of worship to deter people from doing these heinous acts. Oh, by the way, I saw, too, on social media over the weekend, people, even Bill Maher, was talking about the attacks on Christians in Africa. Right? And he was talking about in Nigeria, there's, tens of people killed just in the last few days over there. Now, I've been talking about this for a long time right now. And I follow the American Center for Law and Justice, that'd be Jay Sekulo's group, and they do a great job speaking about things like this. So I knew this for many, many years, that this is a thing that happens, but everyone on social media seemed to think this was just beginning, apparently. A little late to the game, but that's better than nothing, right? But here's what they're looking at right now. They're looking at this attack, it says here, in Lifestyle, it says at least 64 people were killed in an anti-Christian massacre carried out by an Islamic group in the Democratic Republic of Congo. Now, according to a report by Aid to the Church in Need, okay, the murderous rampage was carried out by the Allied Democrat forces, originally from Uganda. So now local sources say at least 64 people were killed in this massacre in which the attackers used firearms and hammers and selectively lit certain homes on fire. That's a common thing they do. They burn the houses, people run out, they shoot them. So absolutely horrific. And again, it suggests this premeditated and targeted attack on Christians. So again, these jihadists, these militants, these anti-Christian groups, they do this. They kill Christians. And many of the victims were murdered for taking part in a vigil for the dead, is what it says here. Now, similarly enough, in areas like Nigeria, you have similar groups like this Allied Democratic Forces group. One in particular is called Boko Haram. Again, they're a Muslim, militant, jihadist group that go around killing Christians. And we talk about this. Nothing gets done, though. Nothing gets done, though, does it? Does everything ever get done? Now, the HCLJ has tried to litigate on behalf of this and to stop this. It's obviously very difficult to do, but we don't say anything about it. We don't talk about this, that these awful atrocities happen in places like Africa, and again, nothing gets done about it. Now, we can condemn it, of course, but what does that do? What does that do? Where's the action? Where's the peace? Where's the protection of Christians in Africa who, again, are persecuted only because of their belief in Jesus Christ? Where is the uproar from this? And again, nobody talks about it. Nobody says a damn thing about it. Well, I am. I'm going to talk about it. I'm going to speak out against it. And again, I implore all of you to look at things like the ACLJ that tried to, again, use some type of litigation to stop this. And they do great work in their organization. So take a look at that. But understand, this is something that is just constant in Africa, especially among these militant Islamist groups. So never forget that as well. All right, let's talk about what's happening in Israel and, of course, with Gaza. So many of you know that Donald Trump is meeting with Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu today. And this article is in Breitbart. I don't necessarily agree with it, but I like the way that Joe Pollack writes, so we'll talk about it. It says that Trump appears to strong-arm Netanyahu towards a Gaza deal. I don't think Trump strongholds or strong-arms Netanyahu to anything. That's just my own personal take. But the war in Gaza may come to an end this week thanks to pressures from President Donald Trump. And it says here that the president appears to have maneuvered the diplomatic pieces of a puzzle in place in a way that would compel Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu to accept a deal that falls short of Israeli goals for an agreement, but allows Israel to achieve concessions in other areas it considers strategically important for them. So right off the bat, I say to myself, okay, well, what are these concessions? What is it going to do? Well, last week, President Trump met with Arab leaders at the UN. I think that was the big push for this, and obtained their support for a regional deal that would replace Hamas and with an Arab government in exchange for a promise to prevent Israel from annexing Judea and Samaria, which we know as the West Bank. So right off the bat, I got to stop here and say this. They're already building settlements in the West Bank right now. You're already seeing so-called settlers, which would be Jewish settlers, setting fire to areas like the St. George Cemetery, which is a Christian cemetery. They've killed Christians in this area. They've set fire to houses. But they've already approved these settlements to being built in this area. So what does that mean? That means they're going to be taking that land. They're going to be annexing more land, little by little. Again, go look at the 1947 map of Israel and look at the map today. It gets larger and larger and larger, and they'll get it. Trust me. Now, Trump has gone out boldly and said that he will not allow Netanyahu to take control of the West Bank. Again, I don't buy it. I think it'll happen. So at the same time, he may allow Israel to annex portions. See, there it is. It's always a little bit, right? Annex portions of that territory necessary for Israeli security. Well, what if they say the whole area is necessary for Israeli security? Then will you let him annex it? And this is what I'm talking about. The Israelis, who are pressing further into Gaza City at a steady, methodical pace while taking surprisingly few casualties. I don't know, folks. Over 100,000 are confirmed dead right now, and over 500,000 are missing. Each day you're getting 60, 70, 80 people dying, many of them children. And you have to understand, too, half of the population inside Gaza are children under the age of 17 and younger. Horrific. Absolutely horrific. By the way, you have, of their estimates, 83% of the people they've killed so far are civilians. They have nothing to do with Hamas. So even these numbers that they're giving us, again, they're killing far more civilians than they are Hamas militant soldiers. That's all there is to it. But I find that funny. While taking few casualties, there's many casualties. There's so many people wounded. It's a picture of a young girl, face bloodied. I mean, just disgusting what you're seeing. And they have to do these surgeries on the floor. They have very little sterilization or sanitation. Sometimes they're working with no electricity, so they can't use anesthesia or anything like that. It's terrible what's happening right now. But again, there has been a signaling that perhaps they would be prepared to accept such a deal if all the remaining 48 hostages are freed as well. I don't know, folks. They could have had this done already diplomatically, but Netanyahu decided to kill the negotiators and, of course, kill the entire meeting. Same thing with Iran. It's the same pattern. We could have had a safer, controlled Iran, possibly even open up trade with them, and now we have what? We have them telling us to take a walk. I'll put it to you in plain terms. But they know what's going. They know they can't trust this administration. That's what it comes down to. So now members of Netanyahu's right-wing coalition may be upset that he would give up a chance to control all of Gaza and, of course, annex all of the West Bank, but he can tell them he had no choice. I don't think his party will like that very much. He's already on thin ice. with corruption and, of course, his judicial review. So this war is really what's keeping him in power, of course. So, yeah, we've heard from his administration that they want to annex all of Gaza. And, of course, Gaza will be 100% Jewish. They've said this. What's going to happen when they say we're just going to move out of the area? Now, he's totally denounced the idea of having a Palestinian state of any kind. He would refuse that. He said that will never happen under his watch. So we've got to see what of course, happens here. But the most important thing, I think, is simply, what is the peace process? Where can Donald Trump tell us the peace is going? What is going to happen? So let's think about this. We have this in... being stated right now. It says the Trump administration has proposed a 21-point plan aimed at ending the war in Gaza that calls for the release of all hostages within 48 hours of an agreement in exchange for a phased withdrawal of Israeli forces. And this was, again, stated by a source telling the proposal to CNN. The plan was shared with Arab leaders earlier this week, although it is unclear whether Hamas has been presented with it. So there's obviously that. The proposal may have been revised in recent days, and if delivered, would likely be relied through Qatar to Hamas and their negotiating team. In Doha, President Trump voiced optimism Friday, saying that they were very close to a deal. While Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu vowed the same day to press ahead with the war until Hamas is destroyed. That's not going to happen, by the way. Just thought I'd share that part with you. Arab leaders are generally supportive of the proposed reservations, adding they want an end to the conflict very quickly. So what you're seeing, you saw this at the UN, you're seeing the Arab nations coming together and saying they want this end. This needs to end right now. This has to be over with. But I don't know if Hamas is going to go for this. I really don't know that that's going to happen. I don't know how you remove Hamas. I don't think you can. Now, they may try to come in and say, we're going to create a different type of government. We're going to pick new officials. But I don't know how this is going to work out. It says here, again, they're trying to displace Gaza, that bars Hamas of any future role in governing the territory. It envisions two layers of an interim governance, an international body, and a Palestinian committee. So you see, they won't even really have their own say here. And by the way, Tony Blair, former Israeli UK Prime Minister Tony Blair, they want him to govern Gaza. It's just so ridiculous. It's kind of funny at the same time. Without a set timeline for transferring leadership to the Palestinian Authority. There we go. It's all falling into place right now. The proposal also calls for a UN role in providing humanitarian aid, but makes no mention of the disputed Gaza Humanitarian Foundation, which Israel controls. While it stops short of U.S. backing for a Palestinian state, it acknowledges that this is a Palestinian aspiration. So there is no state, there is no control. They'll be governed under somebody else who is friendly with Israel. That's what it's coming down to. Same thing. Same old thing. So I don't have, again, much hope for this. I don't think Netanyahu will go for it. I'm sure his party will not go for this if they simply leave Gaza. Yeah, I don't think so. I think he's in too far. I think he's come too far. He's bombed enough of it. And by the way, what are they going to do? What are the Gazans going to do now? The whole area is in ruins. Their infrastructure is entirely destroyed. Is there any recovery plan for this? What are we going to do here? There's no path for it. What are they going to say? Okay, the war's finally over. Well, we have no electricity. They control it. We have no food or water. We have no way to even get food and water. Our hospitals are destroyed. We're living in tents on the beach. What are we going to do? Where's our infrastructure? Where's our economy? There's nothing there. Again, I don't know how this ends. I want it to end. The idea of a ceasefire is meaningless because Netanyahu will simply violate it, as he has in so many other cases. But there always was supposed to be a ceasefire. And now they're bombing Gaza nonstop. And we're seeing it, folks. We're seeing it right in front of our eyes. He's been so bold, though, Netanyahu, by the way, coming out and now speaking out against American free speech. It gets even worse. Take a listen to this.
Christian influencers, okay? You said, we talked about the woke right, and you said, I call it the woke Reich. That's a brilliant observation. The woke Reich, because these people, they're not any different from the woke left. I mean, they're insane, they're loonies. But they're actually meeting on some of the things. And what we have to do is we have to secure that part of the base of our support in the United States. That is being challenged systematically. A lot of this is done with money. Money of NGOs, vast. Money of governments, vaster. Okay? We have to fight back. How do we fight back? Our influencers. I think you should also talk to them if you have a chance. To that community, they're very important. And secondly, we're going to have to use the tools of battle. The weapons change over time. You can't fight today with swords. That doesn't work very well. Okay, and you can't fight with cavalry. That doesn't work very well. And you have these new things, like drones, things like that. I won't get into that. But we have to fight with the weapons that apply to the battlefields in which we're engaged. And the most important ones are the social media. And the most important purchase that is going on right now is followers. TikTok. TikTok. Number one. And I hope it goes through because it can be consequential. And the other one, what's the other one that's most important? X. That's very good. And, so we have to talk to Elon. He's not an enemy. He's a friend. We should talk to him.
Okay, so you get the picture. We have the woke Reich now, according to Benjamin Netanyahu. So anyone on the right that speaks out against this campaign of genocide, this ethnic cleansing, what they talk about. It's not like someone's just making this up. You can look at the footage. You could see the damage being done. You could see the people starving. I get my information from people that go on the ground to Gaza to speak with that people that have lived there. Most of you probably have no idea that Israel's holding 12,000 Palestinian hostages. Did you know that? So if we're going to condemn Hamas for taking hostages, which we ought to, we also have to do the same for Israel. Taking people without any type of charge and holding them captive. But now to come out and say that we're going to have change the algorithms, we're going to go to TikTok. TikTok's been the biggest problem for them because they can't control it. There were no algorithms in favor of what was happening or what what they're telling us, essentially. So now they've got to go through and change the algorithms. What do they want you to see when you log in? Right, you can go in and click, I like the news, I like this, I like the sports. So anyone that's clicking various accounts, they're going to get them, again, just inundated with their type of information. And that's how it'll work. And, Larry Ellison's going to be one of the people running it. He's very pro-Zionist. Other people also working with him are as well. All these people are going to sit on the board of this. I think Lachlan Murdoch will also sit on it. Again, family friend of the Netanyahus. They will control how this platform shares information with you. And they can shadow ban, they can block, they can do all these things now. Whereas before that wasn't the case. So really, this is what we're seeing now. Now they're talking about going to X, which again was supposed to be a total free speech platform. So we'll have to see how all that turns out. Nothing good will come of that, by the way. I don't think. But Netanyahu's cracking, folks. He was just on Fox News earlier. Listen to this. He is, I don't know. I don't know what he's talking about. It's nothing positive. Take a listen.
It's very hard to fight the deception, the lies, the starved children. The pictures of starved children are turned out to have cerebral palsy or other congenital diseases that leave them emaciated. And Israel is, of course, accused of starving children.
One of the things that I find interesting about this, they're taking one example of one child they showed a picture of, who did have a muscular degenerative disease. Now, some of you go, well, see, there you go. It proves that they just, cherry-picked this. They showed a kid who looks like this. But what you don't know is that young child, who I think is 2 years old, actually, the mother was interviewed, by the way. Father was killed, but the mother was interviewed of this child, and she said that the child can no longer even attempt to walk because of lack of milk. Yep. There you go. None of you probably heard that, did you? But that's the truth. That's what's happening. Again, I could talk to you about how they use tank shells and shoot at people to stay in line and kill people as they're trying to make their way to these humanitarian centers that they've created now from the Gaza Humanitarian Fund, all controlled by Israel, right? I could talk to you about how they've given much of this food, by the way, to kind of what we need to call a Palestinian gang. But this Yasser Abu Shabab is one of them. He's been the one that's taking a lot of this food and, of course, storing it, as you can imagine. The lies that it's just Hamas taking all the food is just simply ridiculous. That's just simply not founded. But you can obviously be sure that Hamas is going to be sending people to try to get food for Hamas. Why wouldn't they? So they're going to get some food. But the idea that it's just simply Hamas is starving their people and that Israel is giving all this food is just simply nonsensical. It's not true, by the way. There are children starving in Gaza. I told you before, much of the people dying from starvation are children, because children will die first. And it's awful to see, and it's awful to discuss, but that's the truth of the matter.
Pretty much the way that in the Middle Ages, Jews were accused of killing Christian children for their blood. So, what do you do against the lie?
Wow, I can't believe he's going back to this talking point. Is he going to tell us that Jews weren't poisoning Christian wells? As what's been said about the, bubonic plague? He's cracking, guys. He's really, again, this is odd behavior. Right when Charlie Kirk was killed, he came out, hey, we had nothing to do with this. Hey, we didn't drink adrenochrome back in the Middle Ages. We never killed children. Yeah, go look up St. Simon of Trent, I believe. Yeah, go look it up. Simon of Trent. I can't believe he's saying these things. I mean, he's just going off topic. He's crumbling. It's odd to see this happen in real time. I mean, this is just ridiculous. Openly talking about the UN, about the beepers. You saw that, right? Championing a terrorist attack that he initiated on Lebanese and Syrians.
You remember those beepers, the pagers? We paged Hezbollah. And believe me, they got the message. And thousands of terrorists dropped to the ground.
Okay. By the way, the attack on Hezbollah killed 42 people, including the 12 civilians. So it wasn't just for Hezbollah. Injured 4,000 casualties. Yep. Civilians, all civilians, Lebanese and Syrian, is what's according to the Lebanese officials. 4,000 people injured by this attack. So what they did was they put C4 in these beepers, and they detonated it all at the same exact time. So you have no idea. You think it's going to someone in Hezbollah, but it's exploding, and people are you're in a public place. Other people are getting hit as well. So you're telling me this whole plan killed 30 people? That is, by definition, terrorism. Because you have a nation that's, again, detonating bombs. That's what C4 is. It's explosive. And it's killing people. So it is using violence as a means for a political objective. That's the exact definition of violence. And he's bragging about this during this UN speech. It's beyond me. That killed civilians, that injured 4,000 people. You can't make this stuff up, folks. You just can't make it up. I don't know what more to say about this. I don't know. But it's absolutely disgusting that we're hearing this from a world leader. And, of course, they display the various things that have been said by him and his government, openly talking about ethnic cleansing, particularly, again, I told you, Gaza's going to be 100% Jewish, the building of settlements in the West Bank, all these things. They shouldn't bring milk into Gaza because someday those babies will become terrorists. I mean, just nonstop from this government. And of course, they're talking about now the relocation of people still, even while this peace proposal goes on. Folks, hope you enjoy the show. Share with some friends. I will see you tomorrow on the next Marco Dre Show. Until then, be good, stay busy, and God bless.